right, hello and welcome to another episode of the Socially Numb podcast. I am your host, Richie Leahey. Today, I teased on it a little bit last week. Today is going to be the Nintendo Switch Mega Podcast. Now, I don't know for sure how long we're going to go here, but I am not going to keep it under an hour like I normally do. So typically, sometimes I'm like between half an hour to an hour. I've been keeping it around like 45 minutes. But today, it's going to be a special podcast. Now, I'm not going to force it. So if I end up only going that long, I only go that long. I teased last week that it might be 2 hours, depending on how excited I am. And I do have to say that I am pretty excited about the Switch. So we will see how long it goes. And I hope you enjoy it. Before we get started, though, I do want to touch base on the site again. So sociallynumb.com used to be its own domain, and I have been migrating the content and the episodes from Socially Numb into my regular website, richieleahey.com. And I'm doing this to kind of consolidate my content, to make it easier for people to find, to help increase my search result rankings and stuff. Because instead of only having however many episodes we have, like 20-something posts, I combine it with some of my tech posts, my photography posts, and the Dad Strength podcast that was on the Socially Numb website before. I broke that out, kind of reeling that back in, and I'm starting to do the statistical research that I talked about earlier on when this podcast first started, doing like Major League Baseball payrolls and things, even though I broke off into a separate sports site with some of my friends and cousins and stuff, southboundsports.com. I'm still doing the research myself, so that's going to fall under richieleahey.com. It's probably going to have to be under a subdomain research.richieleahey.com as I research some statistics and other things related to sports and even other computer stuff. So that's what I'm looking at doing, and hopefully you enjoy it. The Leahey Report is a play basically off of the Gribble Report. If you're a fan of King of the Hill, you'll know what I'm talking about. Dale Gribble, a character on King of the Hill, had a weekly like neighborhood newspaper that he would send out to Hank, the main character's dad, to keep him up to date on what's happening in their neighborhood so that he would know what's going on with Hank. And so basically, the Leahey Report is what's basically going on with me, doing some computer stuff, some statistics stuff, and the podcast here. So like I said, just trying to get everything together, help increase the search rankings, and the same type of content, and it's going to kind of get tied together. I've had a blog on richieleahey.com before. Some of the content I've started to roll into this podcast, bringing back some projects like Science Olympiad stuff that I've done before. Instead of just having like a small old post, what I've done was pull those out and started to put it, and it turned into Socially Numb, becoming my real blog. And I want to expand the posts so that I'm actually blogging like fairly long each week and then doing a synopsis for Socially Numb. And I just felt that it would be easier just to put that all on the Leahey Report. And that way it's easier to find, like I said, better in search result rankings, and it gives me easier management skills. It's easier for me to manage, blah, blah, blah. Just trying to get everything under one roof. I had the page set up at GitHub. GitHub Pages is great, but as you blog more and more with images and things, it just gets tough to manage. Storage, hey, it's free. It's 1 gigabyte though, so I couldn't really do images there. And so I wanted to keep the free theme, the free site. I did have some ads thrown up on the research section just to try to help pay for the podcast transfer, because I'm on the Amazon free tier right now, but we're starting to get thousands of downloads. And so the free tier doesn't only supports a limited amount of data transfer. So I'm starting to get some bills in regards to that. And that's just based on how popular the podcast has become. So I enjoy that. And to help me offset those costs, I've set up some ads, and that also helps me here just put everything together to maybe offset the cost. So basically right now, the ads have come pretty close the ad revenue has come pretty close to offsetting the bills that I've gotten. But once the Amazon free tier is over, I think the bill might double or so. And so I figure with the ad money all being in one place and me doing some extra videos, that hopefully that just keeps going so I can keep delivering great content, which is my goal. And so that brings us here today. The Nintendo Switch came. I pre-ordered it. I talked about it before. And I was a little bit worried about the pre-order because I ordered. So I didn't order right away. I didn't order on the first day. January, the presentation left me wanting a little bit more. And I don't like to just do an impulse purchase and then have to go through and cancel it and like do whatever. And so I waited. I took my time and I went ahead and just went back, read some more research, watched some videos again. I knew Zelda is a great game, and I've talked about before. If you listen to this podcast before, you know that I've tried to beat every Zelda game. There's a couple in the handheld range that I didn't get to yet. And now that I have a 3DS, I talked about on a previous podcast, I got a 3DS for my daughter, and they have a few of the Zelda games I haven't beat on their digital store. And so my goal is to just download them there and finally catch up and beat these Zelda games that I haven't beaten yet. Now, I do have some of them for the 3DS that you can't get, but they were available on the Wii U store. And one of them I think is Spirit Tracks. I think you have to like whistle or make train sounds on the game. And I've heard that with the 3DS, that mechanic is pretty iffy and it's easier to do with the Wii U. And I was hoping that they would announce something in regards to the Virtual Console before the launch of the Switch. And of course, they never did. But the more I thought about it and the more and more gaming I do, most of the gaming I do on the podcast, I talk about it here. I've talked about doing some streaming, which I've tested out. I've done a couple Assassin's Creed streams, and I might do a little bit more, but to me, it's not interesting. I have people watch it after the fact, not really too many live viewers, just because for the time for me to do it is not the time most people watch streams, because I have a daughter, and so it's pretty much, I might give it a few more goes, but after that, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to focus on doing videos and other things instead, along with the podcast to get content out. People enjoy it. I'm getting a bunch of downloads, getting some good feedback. So that's what I'm going to probably stick with and probably kind of steer away from doing live streams. Now, I do like to talk and show a little bit of the tech. And so, like I said, I did an unboxing video, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But I wanted to wait on the Switch. And the reason I did that was because I wasn't sure. The PlayStation games, there's not too many that I would actually buy. Let's face it, every game seems to be a rehash of these days. If I wanted to play a first-person shooter, I find myself going back and reliving the old Doom. I'm playing Wolfenstein 3D. When that's re-released, I'm also looking at playing Turok on Steam. That someone remastered that. Those are the games that I'm excited about. I enjoy playing The Witcher. I haven't made it too far on the first Steam version because you have to actually sit down. It's a hard game. You have to take care and do other things. And Zelda, the new Zelda, has been an extension of that. So it was kind of built off that, but it was built on it to be on the go. So that the Switch would be able to pause your game, constant saving like The Witcher. But instead of actually having to sit and play on a computer screen, I could go ahead, throw it on the Switch and go with it. And to be honest, if they re-released The Witcher for the Switch, I'd probably re-buy it. I mean, I might beat it in the meantime. If I end up beating Witcher 1 or Witcher 2, because I've been playing through them in my free time. But if I end up beating those, then I wouldn't repurchase it. But right now, as I'm playing, I think I got them for cheap anyway on a Steam sale, that it would probably be easier and worth it for me to get because I could play them a lot more. PlayStation 3, Witcher 3, I've been waiting to play through my other ones, and I have a bunch of other games on the PlayStation 3 that I'm beating. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that. I talk about them. And I play the free games for the PlayStation, which some of them I actually have to look into after I record this tonight. It's like Sunday night again. I always record Sunday nights usually. And I think the free ones should be released. If not, they're released on the 7th. I'm not sure. I think they're always on the 5th, though. I could be wrong. It might be something with like the first Tuesday or second Tuesday of the month. I know they weren't released before, but I wanted to see what games they are. I'm not going to blindly download some of these free games anymore unless I start to beat my other ones, because right now I'm getting a backlog of free games that I beat, talk about on the podcast, and they're pretty much garbage. So unless it's like a full game or a game that interests me, I'm not going to be downloading all the free games to play. I mean, I might add them to my library, but I'm not going to go ahead and beat them and talk about them on the podcast until I beat some of my other games. I think I still have 20 games for the PlayStation 3, and of course I have Zelda now, which is going to take up the bulk of my time for the Nintendo Switch. So I waited. I gave Nintendo some time to see if they would make an announcement on the Virtual Console and even some of the downloads, how they were going to do the Nintendo IDs. And I decided that the pros for the console outweighed the negatives in regards to these and/or games. Because like I said before, when I got the 3DS, I got it for my daughter, something she can throw in on the car, take it places. Back when I got that, I wasn't going to get the Switch. I came into a handful of gift cards, which helped offset the purchase. So I was like, all right, well, if I have these coming in, I had enough to pretty much pay for the console itself. So I figured I could give a gamble just to talk about it on the podcast, play with it, and of course beat the next Zelda game until I caught up and beat those other ones. And in the hopes that maybe they would port the Wii U store over, because it's Nintendo, it's their games. They can go ahead and make the Virtual Console work. It might take them some time, but they're the ones that did the architecture, so I'm pretty sure they've already been thinking about this. So the games that are on the Wii U, they should be moving over. And since I didn't have a Wii U, I don't have to worry about them, people complaining about purchasing them multiple times. I've already given up on that. When Nintendo goes ahead and they make you rebuy the games, I purposely do not rebuy them. If I already bought it, that's it. And like, let's say I had the NES cartridge, I also have the ROM for that, because I believe that's fair use. You pay for the game, you get to use the game. And they went through, I don't think they have like anything. I understand not playing it for it like on the Switch. If I understand that their motto is, if you want me to play it on the Switch, I can go ahead and replay it. But you should be able to flash the ROM or back up your game. If you have a disc, put it in your CD player, make a backup of it, play it in an emulator if your like GameCube dies. I believe that's fair use. You bought the game, you have the disc, you play it. Now, if they remaster it or whatever, yeah, I could see them wanting people to repurchase it. But to me, I'm beyond that. I don't need to play the same game multiple times. I barely have time to play the games that I like to play. So that's what I'm looking at. I thought, well, the Switch would be good. I'm not sure if they were going to have like the games I want. They didn't make any announcement on Madden. I haven't played Madden for a while because it became a glorified trading card game. Not really any football in it or not. I understand that, hey, it would be cool that if they had multiplayer, 2-player, you could take it to like, say, a family function, a family reunion, throw up the Switch screen, have an extra controller, and play a game of Madden. That would be cool, and that would be worth it to get one iteration of Madden. They're all pretty much the same for the Switch if it ever comes out. Same thing with FIFA. That would be a game you can just throw on your downloads, have it somewhere so that it's ready to play. If they ever remastered, say, Tecmo Super Bowl, like they did on some of the other consoles, even if it's a random version, just get a bunch of mini games like that so that you don't have to carry your laptop with you. That was the selling point on the Switch for me. You have a screen you can take with you, a bunch of newer games, it just works. You throw a couple controllers in, the controllers are pretty flat. You can even I use the Switch controller, which I'll get into here as I dive through and do basically, my idea is going to be a podcast walkthrough of the parts as I go through the console itself, kind of go hands-on a little bit. And so you might hear some outside noise, I might be clicking around, but I'm actually going to be playing with the Switch while I podcast the latter half of this podcast. And that's why I don't know how long it's going to be of a podcast. But I wanted something like that I could play on the go. If they would have made an announcement on like Netflix and some other media that they didn't make, and they were like, people just want to play games. But no, this would completely replace a tablet, an iPhone, something like that. I would never, ever want one of those devices. And I'll tell you why. Because there's no use to carry one. If you're going to carry something that needs computing power, use a laptop. The browsers do not work fast enough on the tablets. My phone has a faster processor, at least for Safari and just general web browsing. It takes forever for the iPad I have to load up. Yeah, maybe I can get an iPad Pro, but at that point, the battery life is going, and I'm used to my phone. I use it a lot more. I'm not going to have a tablet just to read. I've been even getting into some other apps for reading, which I'm probably going to bring into the podcast and talk about once I get a little bit more hands-on with. And so that's another option. Something that I can just read papers, even like the Kindle app or whatever, read books on the go. I've been defaulting to my phone for that because I always have my phone. I always have a backup battery charger. The iPad, it just gets less and less use. I really only use it for a bigger screen if I need to video call someone. That's about it. That goes for like video recording interviews for Southbound Sports, maybe just doing family chats on Skype or Hangouts or Duo or whatever. That's pretty much all I use the iPad for. You can't use it for gaming because then you have to carry some type of controller with you. I know they have add-ons for the phone or whatever, but that's it. So here comes a Switch, which, yeah, you have to carry the controller with you, but you can click it into the sides, get a case, throw the whole thing in. It's kind of like a bigger PSP, which better games, full-fledged games. You're going to have Mario. You're going to have other things. Hey, maybe they'll throw in a Mario game I haven't played yet from the Virtual Console, maybe like one of the newer ones from like Wii U or something. They'll throw it on as a digital download, and like some Mario World. I don't even remember playing some of those, but if they throw those on there, they might even be free. The online's way cheaper. So I could see myself moving away from the PlayStation into this. I mean, we have a Roku TV. I've talked about it, getting a 4K television to go to the 4K camera. Got a Christmas deal on the television. It's a Roku TV. It has a lot of the apps I watch, including the Big Ten Network, which a lot of other media boxes do not have. The PlayStation, I don't believe, has a Big Ten Network app. They don't even have a lot of sports apps. With the baseball, Major League Baseball, that's going to be the first main app that I'm going to watch sports on to test out. I've tried to test hockey in the past, but it doesn't work. They don't have good customer support. They don't help you out. I've heard that it's run by the same people that run baseball, so I hope that baseball is better. I gave it a test run today for spring training. Watched a little bit of the Tigers game. They played the Phillies, and it looked pretty good. They had options for like closed captioning and things. I don't know if I can move the closed captioning around because it covered the score, but maybe that's something I can write to them and see what they can do, and that just might be because I was using my PlayStation 3. But anyway, so the Switch comes out. If they add media functionality, and it would have to be Netflix and Vudu and stuff that lets you back up your purchases. And what I mean by that is, if you need to rely on Wi-Fi streaming, it's not going to work as a media device. So if Nintendo, if you're listening, I know you have small internal storage, let them write apps that download to the flash card. If they don't, because I bought a big flash card just in hopes, if not, I'll just fill it up with random games that I download, your free games each month, and then if you make me delete them, I guess I'd delete them. And then after a while, if I'm not playing online, I just don't get your service anymore and just say, forget about it. And then I just play whatever games I have already. But the purpose that I think is it's going to be a great thing to just carry with you and have a gaming console if you need it. Throw a Pro controller in the bag. Maybe if you're used to having like maybe a game like Snipper Clips, which I'll talk about, have another one of the controllers that have like a plug that you can dock in, like get two of those, and have like in just another color, I guess. The Joy-Cons is the word I'm thinking of. I don't know why I blanked on it. But just get another Joy-Con set into a charging controller, get two charging controllers, throw it in a bag. It's fairly small. It will fit into a padded backpack, even a camera bag. It would fit into, and you can have it if you don't have it, like you don't even need it docked. The only thing that I think you would need, and I haven't tested it yet, is like some type of USB-C charger. And that's where my hands-on preview, I'll probably be talking about it later on down the road because I plan on using this a lot more. I'm only having two and a half days worth of use to talk about here. So we'll go through the process. I'll talk about the console here, why I got it. I've already got into a little bit. I like the portability idea. I like having a gaming console that you can take on the go that hopefully encourages multiplayer. Because what better way, you go to a friend's house, they don't game. It happens a lot. Like you go to someone's house, let's say you're traveling, you go visit family, older family members. I have a kid, I need something that they can do, they can play. Before it's an iPad, it's something else. But that's one person. Then they become individually focused on that device. They have a phone, they have an iPod Pro or whatever, iPod Touch, or whatever they are. So they're sitting there they're playing one-player games. Maybe they're playing online per se, where they're chatting with someone, but they're not really seeing it. Here the Switch is opening back up multiplayer. You were having the same experience I had as a kid, where it would just be one small television in another room, hooked up to a wire. You had to sit a few feet away, talk to someone, all right, let's play a game. But now you have a new age version of that. And that's why I'm hoping, and so far it seemed to work without Wi-Fi. I've tested it. But I haven't had too many games. There's not too many games out. And I'll probably pick and choose my games. Maybe Splatoon 2 would be great. A great paintball type game. I haven't played Splatoon 1. Maybe Splatoon 1 would be a downloadable game. I don't know. I don't know what their focus is or what they're trying to do here. But my goal is to just pick and choose a couple games, and then that's it. That's what I did with the PSP. I even had some emulators and stuff on after I hacked it because PSP did not follow through. They did not deliver the games they said they were going to do with PlayStation. And when they did get first-party games like Dynasty Warriors, it took me forever to beat because it was a watered-down version of the game. I had to fight little maps of like random dudes, and then I had to work my way through, and it was timed, and everything was weird. And so now, here's a console promising the same experience you get on a regular console, but one that you can play on your television and one that you can take on the go. I've heard that some games, it's either or. If you make a game, you can make it TV only, or you can make it mobile only. I'm not too worried about the TV only because to me, the portability factor, like I wouldn't even need another docking station. My only other thing is, depending on how they make the multiplayer games, is maybe just having 2 complete switches if you're playing like Mario Kart and you can do non-router Wi-Fi multiplayer to replace like the 3DS eventually whenever they drop in price. And I'm sure like the Switch will be improved. But I think that this is a console that could just be the PlayStation and Xbox killer for casual gamers. People that don't have time to sit and invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into the top PC gear, mechanical keyboards, and things like that. Because, hey, I just want to play some games. I want to play some co-op. I want to throw up some old football games. I can't do that. Have you played Madden lately? When I grew up, Madden was it. Everyone pre-ordered it. Everyone had it. Now, no one even cares. People that I know, even younger kids, they don't play. Some play FIFA, I hear. But it's because it's like a glorified trading card app. The sales can't be the best ever. I haven't looked at numbers. Maybe I'll do a comparison. I'm sure they probably went up just because of the amount of devices and the amount of gamers now compared to years past. But even then, it's like, come on, make a game that would encourage people to play. And they haven't done it, and I don't think they're going to. And so at this point, who knows what's going to happen in regards to sports games, even basketball games. Basketball games now are all about the experience. And I see people reviewing them as like 9.8. Like, no, that's not a game. Like, you don't understand. When I play basketball, I want a game. Like an arcade-style game, something I can play with someone, talk trash. I don't want to watch player intros and people dancing and see realistic people. If I wanted to watch a game, I would just watch the game. That's what I do anyway. Something I throw on in the background, have a sports game up, cheer for a team or two. But when I play a game, I want to actually play, and I want it to be like a game. People don't have that competitive nature. I played a game, one of those, was it 2K, NBA 2K, whatever. It was like the last one. It was one of the ones that, of course, got the greatest basketball game of all time title, which I'm pretty sure they paid for. It comes out, it's produced by someone. I forget what year I got. It comes out, it has like your player intros. Basically, I didn't even know what I was doing in the game, and my team won. I barely scored and did anything right, but because the computers were just playing, and I was a better team than whatever the opponent was, I forget. I think I played with like the Celtics or someone because I liked Ray Allen. I just ran around with Ray Allen. This might have actually been, he might have been off the team. So I might have been playing as Paul Pierce. So it might have been whatever year that was when he went to the Heat. I can't remember. But it was something like that. I was playing as like a heavy team against like some lower team, and I barely did anything, and our team won because it was a simulation. It picked, like you weren't even playing the game. I had no influence on the outcome. Even if I didn't know what I was doing, the computer just kind of went ahead and fit. Yeah, it was a tight game, and I tried to score. I couldn't score. My guys would put my misses back up right in for me. And now, with the Switch, you're seeing like, hey, I don't want an experience. I don't want these 3D virtual reality games. Maybe some people will want them, but I see the virtual reality being a thing like the 3D gaming that tried to hit, or 3D television, the 3D movie experience. Think of all the money they lost trying to do that because people don't have the social experience. If you have to sit there and watch a movie with glasses on, you can't like sit and nudge your buddy or your significant other and like tell them a joke or anything because it would take them away, the 3D vision or whatever. I've been to movies that have 3D glasses. It just adds an extra element of separation, like you're in your own world. And most people don't want that. You go and they want a social experience. That's why games still get people attending. Sporting events, tailgating, those are things people want to do. I know a lot of people that just go and tailgate and go to like concerts and things just to hang out with friends. Not because they enjoy doing it, it's just one place to meet in a world where people don't get around to meet anymore. And here's a console that is trying to do that. It's trying to get people to play. You go ahead, set it up, have some games on the go. You could set it up and rig it up, have some multiplayer games. The one thing, which I'll get into, the kickstand, pretty crappy quality. That's the one thing I'm worried about. But like I said, Nintendo could release some extra add-on, some fix where they just mail out if you want one. Most people might not even want one. Some people probably won't even undock this. I could see some people just putting it beside their Xbox One, Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and the Wii U just to say that they have all the consoles. I know people who do that buy a bunch of games and never play them. Personally, I like to beat the games I play. I've talked about it before. I view it as an investment. You buy it, just like if I bought a movie, I would never buy a movie and then not watch it. To me, that just seems weird. I would go buy a movie and then watch it pretty much that day. So I wait to make a purchase. If it's on sale, then I buy it, maybe. But then I make a point to watch it. Same with the game. And Steam has kind of added this. I know they're trying to push like a collection. View your collection. See what games your friends have. What's their collection like? Kind of like showing a little bit of prestige or whatever. And they're trying to push that agenda. Like, hey, look, buy more games. Your friend bought a bunch. And it just doesn't work for me. I understand what they're trying to do, make more sales, but this is a console that I think might be my last console. I mean, I'm sure the PlayStation 4, I really like its media capabilities. The PlayStation 3 was it. The PlayStation 3 was way better. I could download Voodoo movies. I could go ahead and add my music. It had much better interface, much more customizable. If they were to let you remove some of their built-in stuff, it would be even better. But they don't. And with the PlayStation 4, they kind of went backwards. They wanted to make it baby-proof, where it's like, oh, here's your most recent thing you played. You can't delete like certain menu items. Here you go. Here's apps that companies worked with us. They pay us to add in. We can't remove those, which is garbage. If PlayStation let you fully customize what apps you could remove, and this goes to the PlayStation 3 as well, it would be much better, and it would be pretty much the best media box. If a PlayStation 3 came out for is around now and you find a new one in box or even one that's like barely used for like under $100, it's much better than like a Roku or anything, depending on what you watch. If you're only watching Netflix, go ahead and get that. That app works much better than the Chromecast app I have. It works much better than the Roku that I have. And I don't know about Amazon, but I'm assuming that the PlayStation 3 apps work much better than any other apps. So if you're looking for a cheap media box that does pretty much everything, and even if you wanted a few games, you can still download games, downloadable games, and it's the best media box. The controller battery lasts pretty much all day. I can sit and have streaming on. It has Voodoo. That's what I watch baseball on. That's why I said maybe it's a limitation with the app. The app might not be updated that much. I don't know how much PlayStation is going to keep supporting the PS3, but as of right now, if you were going to buy a box, that's what I would recommend getting because it's highly flexible as a media box. And here's the Switch, which, hey, if it lets you stream and stuff, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't overtake it. You don't need high processing power to go ahead and stream things to your television. Think of the Chromecast, that little device, that dongle that hangs into the back of your television. The Switch has much more processing power than that, and that gets the job done. I mean, it runs games. I mean, holy hell. If you can go ahead and run games, then it can stream things from your television. So that's where I hope the Switch goes. And I hope they add media, and I hope they add download so that you don't need Wi-Fi. Download the game at your house. Forget these companies that are trying to sell you Wi-Fi. Verizon's bringing back unlimited data. They want you to stream things. They want you to pay because they realize people don't really need that stuff. You can get a track phone now. If every place and every store starts to set up Wi-Fi like they've been doing, what is the real point of having a cell phone? I mean, think about it. Cell phones might go the way of the dinosaur. If every store you go to has Wi-Fi, how many people walk around and have a phone? I mean, you can have a phone for emergencies, and then I know a couple people that just carry their phone around, and it's a crappy non-contract, like a burner, like a drug dealer would use, just because they only text on it a few times, and most of the time they have an iPod Touch, and the iPod Touch they take with them, and that's what they use to message people. Because you're not going to use it when you're driving. I mean, the only thing you need then is a GPS thing, but most people still have GPSs when they were hot, but for cell phones, and you can still get the unlimited map downloads. So if you're set in your ways and you don't really travel that much, do you really need a phone for the GPS? No. Do you really need a phone at all? How many people talk on the phone? Not many. Most people just Facebook. Do you need to be tethered to Facebook while you're out walking around? Hell no. You can have a burner. If something happens, make a call. Do like a prepaid card. And I think that's why phone companies, they're getting scared because they realize like, hey, people don't need these. They don't need us. And that's probably what Nintendo's right now. Like they don't need media box because people aren't going to be streaming media. They already have their television. But I'm telling them, Netflix lets people download shows to save them for later. And that's what they need to do. Let people go ahead, download the show to the Switch, just a couple. Because if you take a road trip or you're going to go somewhere, you're at home, you set it up on your television, have Netflix work with them, Nintendo. Work with Netflix. They already have as much, if not as many. They're closing in to the number of people that already pay for cable. So Netflix, it's going to be right there. It's the future. They're trying to get other people to pay for HBO Go or whatever, but you already have everyone on Netflix. It's pretty much going to be it. Partner with them. People aren't going to be paying for Sling TV and stuff. The only reason you would pay for Sling TV is if you wanted to watch sports, and they already split sports apart. So you have to have one or the other package or pay for both. Because they have ESPN on one side and Fox Sports on the other. Fox Sports is going to get you all your local teams, your NHL, NBA teams, whatever. And ESPN is going to get you the college teams. So, I mean, if you only liked one, like let's say if I only liked the ACC and I'm here in North Carolina, I could just get ESPN. But if I wanted to watch the Hurricanes, I need Fox Sports South. So then I have to get their other package with Fox Sports. Or I have to get both if I wanted to watch both. And people just don't want to do that. It's the same thing. You can stream them online. I mean, you can find any game online if you really wanted to, whether you pay or not, if you already pay for the internet. I'm not going to get into that. But just for convenience, I mean, it works better. You don't have to worry about getting viruses from some rogue site just to have it streamed right to your television. But are people really going to pay? They pay for Netflix because they can get any show they want without commercials nonstop. More and more television shows are pulling to Hulu, but is Hulu really worth it? I mean, I'm watching some shows now that I see and I'm like, would I need to watch this? Would I want to watch this? I can't imagine some of these shows are so poorly written that I've watched and they get canceled right away that I would want to pay for Hulu. I've been burned enough on liking shows and having them pulled after one season or 6 episodes with cliffhangers that I wouldn't want to give any of these big television studios my money. So Nintendo, work with Netflix, let them download episodes. Even if they pull it, if you already download it, you can still watch it. So like you hear something's going to go away off Netflix, download a few episodes. Or hell, buy a large card. Buy a large card and download as many as you want. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a limit. That's why Nintendo work and make it so that they have to download exclusively to a micro SD card. People are going to buy the SD card anyway. Just have it set up so that for Netflix to download shows or Vudu to download movies, you can put it on there. If I take a trip with my kids, I want them to be able to download a movie, something to keep them busy. It might only be a couple. Or let me just put some of their shows on the flash drive, which might be a possibility. I haven't tested that far into it yet. But let me go ahead, give me a media player. I actually think the 3DS has that. But their screen is garbage for the 3DS for watching shows. It's more of a gaming screen. Now you have the Switch, which is set up for television. It's a media device. Go ahead, I can prop it up. Sell a car holder, an official Nintendo car headrest holder, where it like uses those click-in sides instead of clicking in the whatever the Joy-Cons, have it slide up and click in that way. And then it automatically has like the headrest has the some type of frame like at the top to hold them in so that they're pretty much wired in like some backing thing. Create that so that you can just slide the screen right into your seat and have it have like the basic arrow buttons and like 4 A, B, X, Y, whatever their buttons are called. Have that on the right side, just not for gaming, just for movies that you can throw up and so that it clicks into the headrest of a car. Do it. It will sell. People want it. I can even like kind of hang it around and like hang down or something. But have it, Nintendo. Build that utility. Build some type of media device. I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably tweet that out or write some article about it because that's what Nintendo needs to do. Let parents play media so that their kids would entice them to buy a Switch. You do that, and now you have parents buying 2 or 3 Switches, just like they buy 2 or 3 DSs for their kids, because each kid can have one. Then if they do it right, and more games aren't out yet, and they can always patch the software. But if you can do local multiplayer, like 3 people like ad hoc or whatever, that you don't need to be tethered to Wi-Fi, if they can stream and you're within like 30 feet or whatever, it would be amazing for parents because they are right there in the car. They can be playing Nintendo or Mario Kart, whatever. Have it so that, in the past, if you had a Game Boy, you're in the car, you're looking down. You're looking down, your neck's getting sore. You're complaining about the ride. Are we there any longer? Whatever. My head's getting sore. I'm getting motion sickness. I'm looking down in a car. We're moving. I can feel it. I'm kind of swaying back and forth with my hands. Now, Nintendo has these seat screen clicks or whatever, where they kind of hang over the driver's seat and the passenger seat, and you can slide the Switch right in. It clicks. Very secure. It's very taut, so that it doesn't move around. Protects your screen in case of an accident or whatever. Boom. So kid's not holding a device that you have to stop short and the device flies up and hits them in the face. No, they're just holding the Joy-Cons. Have their little thing. Boom, click, click, click. Even have a Joy-Con holder built into the screen right there so that it's tied together, that in case something happens, I don't know, you wouldn't drop it. They can work something out, or just have it so that it hangs there and they can play games. That way they're looking up, they're alert, they're talking back and forth to each other. You could have 2 kids playing in the car, playing Mario Kart, sitting right beside each other without Wi-Fi or anything. Perfect car ride for a long trip. They can even just throw a movie up and sit there if you can download and play media. They don't have to play a game. It would replace anyone buying one of those cheap DVD players for the car. You have the Switch, you get the rig, it clicks right in using the default Joy-Con clicker, which most consoles don't have. There's no way for the 3DS to do that. Go ahead and click that in. Click that, make it. Do something that people would want. That's how you can grow this console and make it to be the best console of all time. And then, like I said in previous episodes of the podcast, I'm assuming that they're going to go ahead and they're going to have upgrades to this, kind of like the iPod or iPad. They're going to have Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 3, or like Next X or whatever they want to call it. Nintendo Switch NX, they could even do that, like they what the code name was or whatever. Where it's just basically an updated processor. You could play the old games on the new games on the older Switch, just process a little bit slower. After time, the battery's going to die anyway. People would just want to be able to switch over, play their games. Do you need to upgrade? You've already given up in the race for the most powerful console. You don't need that. Most people, like I said, their phones have reached a peak where they have a phone, or the iPad or iPod Touch pretty much does what they want to do. Why pay $600 for a phone if you can get an iPod Touch for $300 and then a burner for $19 and not have to pay $100 a month for cell phone service? Because most places have Wi-Fi anyway. I mean, it's not like you're doing secure data transfer on your phone anyway, just for security reasons. So most of the stuff you're going to be doing is playing apps. You can do that without Wi-Fi. And if it's a Wi-Fi app like Instagram, whatever, take your photos on your go, on your iPod Touch, wherever you're going, take some photos, upload them. Take some photos on the Switch. I don't even know if there's a camera. I'm sure there's going to be a camera attachment. I know you can do in-game photos and then upload them wherever. But whatever they need to do, that's what they should do, and that's what they should grow it. So I went ahead, I took a gamble on Nintendo, made my pre-order on the second wave. I signed up for in-stock alerts, and so I got an email the week after the Super Bowl when everyone was freaking out, thinking that they were going to completely sell out. And maybe they did have some in stores this weekend. I don't know. I didn't really check, didn't really care to look, because I went ahead and I pre-ordered that night. Like I said, I had some gift cards I came into, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pre-order it, pay for most of it with the gift cards. That way it's not as much of a gamble. Not going to really use them for anything else. Get some Nintendo points with the rest of them, and then try to get like some downloadable games. Like Snipper Clips is one of the ones that I was looking at that I'll probably end up getting. And I enjoyed that Nintendo had a demo on the weekend for launch, because most of the time I wanted to play with Zelda. Amazon had $10 off of Zelda, so I pre-ordered from them. The rest of them I got from Walmart just because of the gift cards. So I went ahead, pre-ordered from Walmart the Switch, and I pre-ordered a case. And when you pre-order things, I've been burnt from Amazon in the past, so I did not expect Zelda to be there on time. And I wasn't sure if the Switch was going to be there on time because of the shortness issues that Nintendo had announced. They had announced that possibly they were going to be short, and maybe some companies went ahead and overstocked. I talked about getting pre-auth charged was causing people to go over their limit, getting declined by the credit card company, and having their pre-order given to someone else. And that turned out to be an issue not just with Best Buy, because with Walmart, they pre-charged my credit card 3 times. 3 pre-auth charges is outrageous. And of course, once it charges for real and ships, those other ones go away. But it still had blocked off almost, $300 for a console? And that's all I got. So I didn't go ahead and get any crazy packages, because I thought, worst case scenario, the console never makes any upgrades. I didn't get a Pro controller. I'll just use the Joy-Con, how Nintendo intended. Went ahead, got that, got Zelda, and I wanted the case to carry it with. But I just got the bare bones, so I basically had $1,000 almost tied up, $900 on my credit card in pre-auth. Luckily, I don't rely on my credit card to live, and it's just like a backup thing for purchases like this to pre-order with and just to get some money down. So I waited on that, went ahead and saw those pre-auth charges. I'm like, well, that's crazy. They pre-charge for the full amount no matter how you pay. Even if you pay in store, they want to make sure that you have enough to pre-order, whatever. But that went smoothly. I waited. It launched on Friday, March 3rd, if you're unaware of the Nintendo Switch launch. And so I waited. Monday, I kept checking. Tuesday, I kept checking. Amazon had Zelda ready to go. It was preparing to ship on Tuesday. Nothing for the Switch. Now, my case said that it was preparing and processing, getting ready to ship. Wednesday rolls around. The Zelda ships. I'm like, oh, I might get this early. This will be a surprise. I already had a memory card ready to go. I got a micro SDXC card, 200 gigabytes. I figure that's perfect. I don't know what they're going to let you download. It's enough for me to hold media. I could actually hold my whole music library, which I've compressed and like lossless compressed, whatever, down to like 100 gigabytes. So worst case scenario, if they let me at least play audio on the Switch, I could technically do that if no games ever came out and just kind of have like a bigger portable media player. But we don't even know if they're doing that. So basically everything at this point's a gamble. I figured if I had the micro SD card, I could also just throw it in a Raspberry Pi. So that's my backup for that. So it wasn't like a waste. Plus those are pretty cheap these days. Anything bigger than that though, it would have been a gamble. Now if that one fills up, perfect. I just get a bigger one, move everything over to that bigger one, and use that in a Raspberry Pi or something for a project. Works out fine for me. That's like a microcomputer that I have for backing up my stuff. Then I'm waiting. So the card came because there's no pre-order on that. So that came back in February. Whenever I pre-ordered, I threw it in a desk. So Thursday comes around. Zelda's on its way. It's going to arrive Friday, so I'm not going to get it early. The Switch is now preparing to ship, and so is the case. I'm thinking they're shipping from the same place. So not a big deal to me. I get the alert, it's like 3 p.m. or so, that it's shipped. The Switch is in Georgia. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. So one state over, not too far. It's like a 5 or 6 hour drive. So I'm getting excited at this point. I figure worst case scenario, I'm assuming Walmart paid for next day shipping. I get it on Saturday. And at first I wasn't even sure if they were going to have one for me. I didn't know how Nintendo was doing the pre-orders. They had said about trying to get the orders fulfilled as soon as possible. And I heard rumors that they might not be able to fulfill all the orders until the end of March. So I'm thinking, I had a late pre-order. Hopefully they have one for me. If not, it might take a few days. I hope it doesn't take weeks because I would like to play this. And I want to get started and I could use it, like talk about it on the podcast. I've been excited about it. I've talked about it since October or so when it was first announced. So that's coming. I'm like, well, this is great. The Switch is coming. They ship the case for it. It is shipping from California. So I'm like, wow, they're going to be paying for some crazy overnight shipping. Both still say that they are guaranteed delivered or arrives on March 3rd. Well, Zelda on Friday, like I said, Thursday it's coming. It's really close. I forget where that one shipped from. But it was already in Raleigh at that point, ready to go. And that was through regular mail. And when regular mail's close, and it's in Raleigh, I get it the next day. Pretty early. So here we go. And I have the Switch getting ready. That's coming through FedEx. And UPS, which is awful, the worst shipment company, they have the case. So Friday comes around. The case for the Switch is up in Ohio or somewhere. And it's still there as I'm recording this. No other updates. The date was changed to March 8th. So I reached out to Walmart to see like what's up. How did this happen? Did they pay? Is it a UPS screw up? Because I'm sure Walmart will get their thing back. Maybe I'll get a gift card or something back. I went to the store to check to see if anyone had one because my idea was that I could take this on my commute to work. I want to be able to throw it in my bag, play as I'm commuting to work, play on my way home, play on a lunch break if I'm not going out to eat or with what I'm doing. And so that was the point of getting the case. That was the point of getting Zelda and the large memory card. Zelda stays in the game the whole time. I got the actual cartridge for it. The memory card holds the rest of my games. I just get them downloaded when they come out if I want them. If not, I wait till they go on sale digitally. I don't really need any other games. I mean, if I beat Zelda and there's another game that comes out to replace it, I mean, maybe I can get a new Zelda cartridge or something if they release one. And then I just cycle out whatever my main game is. And then my downloadable games for the SD card are ones that I can play, like sports games or like competitive 2-player games like Snipper Clips. That's what I wanted. That's my setup. One big one-player game that sticks in my console the whole time. Right now it's going to be Zelda for the foreseeable future. Maybe Mario, maybe not. Some of the older handheld type Marios, like the 2D ones, I want to throw on the micro SD, because then that way I have a game with me at all time. I want to be able to carry 20 games or so with me in my bag if I want to play. Sports games, a good mix. And so I wanted the case. I just got the regular official Nintendo case with the screen protector. I figured that would work. I didn't know how tight the case is going to be, the actual putting it down and docking it to your television, the situation or not. So I didn't want to get like a third-party screen cover and have it like too snug or scratch in the case or anything without actually testing it. And I didn't even know if it came with one. But I ordered one on a whim. Got that. I figured I'd have a backup if it came with one. And I could go ahead and get the case, get the Joy-Cons on there, see what else came with it. If I ever needed to upgrade to a Pro controller. But like I said, I probably won't. Because I'll probably just get 2 more sets of Joy-Cons. I think you could play 4-player, like maybe snipper clips or whatever. I don't even know if that's a 4-player game. But playing 4-player games with 4 Joy-Cons. So if you get 2 sets, if one that comes with the console, if you get an extra set, then you basically have 4 controllers for a game like that. Any game else is going to be 2-player. So then you just need 2 sets. And the Pro controller, I can take or leave. Maybe if I can use stuff with my computer. I've heard those are pretty good. You can just connect it right to your computer and it works. I haven't tested it. It's only been a few days though. So I don't know how much, if any, compatibility issues came up. Those are just the initial reports, maybe from testing or whatever. But that's my idea. And so I just got the bare bones kit with Zelda. So I had my memory card on Friday. I get up. I said, all right. I had the program installed that Nintendo prefers you to use. So I throw in my micro SD card and I start formatting it. I completely overwrite it. I want a clean slate, brand new card, overwrite it all zeros, which probably were already ready, but you never know. I think it was SanDisk. And sometimes they throw on weird programs. So I completely wipe that off and format it, name it Switch. So that's ready to go. Then I go ahead and I wait. I wanted to get alerts because my idea was that I would run home on lunch break. I don't live too far from my work. Go ahead and charge the console. Set it up, just throw it up real fast. Do an unboxing quick. And throw it together, start charging it. And then that way when I get home, I can get to play pretty much for the whole weekend. So that's what I did. I got the alert from Amazon at 11. And so I waited. I thought, well, I can go get Zelda, but there's no point to just running home and getting a game. And so I waited, and like right as I was walking out to my lunch break, I got the text saying that the Switch was delivered. So I'm like, perfect. I'm already right at my car. I was just going to go grab a bite instead. I jet home, just automatically had the camera ready to go, grabbed it, set it up, did my unboxing video. I think it's like 5 minutes. I just go through right there by an open window, use some natural sunlight, nothing too fancy, no special mics or anything. I used the GH4 I was talking about, inboard microphone, onboard microphone, whatever you want to call it. So hopefully the audio turns out good for that. Sounded good to me. And then with that, I went ahead and did one for the Zelda game. Very small. After I opened it on camera, I hurried up and grabbed the cord. You can hear me like jingling it around because I'm like, I bet this is going to be super small once I got the case out. So as I start the video, you hear some jingling. It's me getting the keys out to cut open the plastic and grab a quarter real quick to hold up against the game. And I'm still working out the focusing on the camera. I thought I had tracking on. I must not have set it up right. So the cartridge gets a little blurry as I hold it up against the quarter, but you can see it gets the job done. And for the unboxing, basically what I was doing was just getting all the cables out, unwrapping them. You can see it on the video, and going ahead, plugging in the dock, throwing in the cartridge, connecting the Joy-Cons and everything to get it to charge. That's what I did. Perfect fit. Everything worked. Get it charged up. Then I go through the process. The Wi-Fi connectivity things, I tried a couple different networks just to see how the connection worked. Had trouble getting on one type of network, but my home network was fine. Immediately got right on, started to do the updates. Now I did an update. I didn't update actually before I played Zelda. So I plugged Zelda in, start playing. It's tied to an ID I made right there without even connecting to the internet. I wanted to see if it worked. So before I actually did skip the internet thing to play Zelda to see if you could play it if you lived in a place that didn't have Wi-Fi. And it worked. The game worked without it. It was kind of jet laggy, like jittery and stuff on the screen like people reported. And so I went ahead, quit the game, updated it, ran a system update, connected the thing, connected to my Nintendo account then. I wanted to see how the saves would work. Connected to my Nintendo account, logged back into the game. Everything was saved perfectly. I only ran through him getting his clothes and whatever. I'm not going to really spoil the actual game itself. But you'll know what I mean. I went through basically the intro before like the opening scene that showed everything the wild world. So I did that, had it saved, and went back in, updated everything, connected my account. I did see that when I connected my account, there were no funds, even though I had some from the 3DS when I downloaded Zelda, because I don't give my credit card information to video game companies after the PlayStation baffle their catastrophe a few years ago. And so I will just go ahead and buy the prepaid cards. I figure whatever's up. If I ever need to cash out, what I do, so like, for example, if I know that the end of life cycle is coming for a video game console and I have some extra money, say Nintendo says like, all right, we're done with our virtual consoles. You can buy any more game if you have any balance to even it up. I go ahead, buy a prepaid credit card because they have ones that are free. I mean, you put like $50 on, use that gift card number basically as a credit card. No charges, no fees. They have it if you have like the initial balance or if you add an extra 100 or something stupid like that. So I go ahead and do one of those, use it to fix up the rest of my purchase. Like let's say I have like a random amount, because it's always a random amount with gift cards. It's like $3.68 or something. And I'm buying a game for $5 just to keep on the console, like I said, on the micro SD, though I always have with me. And I would just go ahead and use that prepaid credit card, to go ahead and fill out the purchase. And that works well. I've done it in the past. Walmart had its own. I think it was called like Bluebird back in the day. Probably not even around anymore. I haven't seen it. But that's what I do to settle the score with video game companies. I always use their prepaid cards. Once I'm trying to get out, that's what I do. That's how I get out. And so that's what I did on the Switch. I let it charge up, connected everything, and then that was it. I'm going to go through now and just give like a little hands-on. This is the extra portion of the podcast. We're already pretty much full length, so I could quit right now, but I said it's going to be a mega cast. I'm going to go a little bit over and see what happens. So if you want to get into it before I go extra, you can quit here. Again, follow me, Richie Leahey, on Twitter and everything. You can go read the Leahey report. SociallyNumb.com should automatically redirect you to RichieLeahey.com, maybe /page.sociallynumb, whatever Blogger ends up doing. I'm still moving content over, so please be patient with that. If there's anything you want to see, let me know, and email me at contact@RichieLeahey.com or Richie@SociallyNumb.com. Whatever, it will get to me if you try to email me at any of those addresses. And let me know, because I'll make it a priority to put up some of the content as I'm moving it. So basically, I had content from both. Some of the old sports content from Socially Numb, I went ahead, moved it to Southbound Sports. Now the rest of the content is going to the Leahey Report, kind of splitting them both up. I didn't want cross content on multiple platforms to hurt my search ranking. So basically, the extra sports content that I talked about has already been moved. It's already on Southbound Sports. We're using Medium for that. I almost used Medium for the Leahey Report, but then they were going ahead and like charging fees or whatever, some extra thing. And if you didn't already have one set up, and I didn't want to do that at this time because Blogger's free and it gives me some little bit more customization, especially since I'm tying it in with GitHub still as my research, my sports stuff. So that's still on there. Kind of talking back and forth between the two. It'll probably take, I know I said I was going to have it up in February. That's before I made the move to consolidate, just because some of my updates weren't happening as fast, and it's easier if I can get them in a place where I can schedule it. That way, if I have something come up, I don't have to go home and manually make an update at like 11 o'clock at night to push new content out. And because of the success we're having now with the thousands of downloads, I'm getting pretty excited. So I want to make it as easy as possible and like have some cross reach. So I want everything in one place. And like I said, the Gribble Report was a good drawing place for the Leahey Report. So I'll be adding some stuff like that, trying to add some, maybe some, a little bit more comedy stuff in. Not really like telling jokes or anything, but just taking like a light-hearted approach. A lot of the tech stuff you see is all super serious, and it's kind of crazy that they only put out the most serious things whenever they're talking about tech. And everyone's trying to scare tactic you. I saw a video where some guy was like standing on the street And he was saying that he could steal your information if you tried to join his fake Wi-Fi. Well, no shit. You set it up like that. Don't fearmonger people into that they're just going to go ahead and have their information stolen by random wackos standing there. Just don't connect to any Wi-Fi that you have. Turn it off. Or like I said, like if you have an iPod, don't, anything you're doing, you're carrying it around just for a Wi-Fi device, don't put your personal information in there. Don't tie everything to Facebook. Don't tie anything to Facebook to be real. Try to keep everything down. I know maybe Instagram, I think they're owned by Facebook, so you kind of have to do that one. But other than that, don't use Facebook to log into your stuff. Why would you want some other company to store your logins for a bunch of other sites that might have personal information? Do not use that. Use an email with your own password and have the password different than the rest. That's what I can tell you to be safe. And so, getting back into it now. Sorry I went off a little bit on the rails, but check out the Leahey report. And again, if you're looking for content that I had up before, I'm not sure how the redirects are going to work going from GitHub to this, because GitHub doesn't really have a place for me to put redirects. I would have to kind of fake them. And Blogger doesn't really have it either. So I'm hoping they kind of work. And if not, search it on Google. I'm going to have Google crawl it as soon as I move everything over to kind of re-index my links and stuff. Try to bring it up a little bit more. The good thing is my old main blog site was on just rleahey.com. And so I'm hoping by making a complete move to richieleahey.com and re-indexing everything and saying that I moved the domains because I did a permanent redirect from rleahey.com to richieleahey.com, that maybe Google and Blogger can help me find the missing content. But if you're looking for something, let me know. I'll be glad to help you find the new updated link. Without further ado now, the extra hands-on segment with the Nintendo Switch. And before I start again, go on YouTube, subscribe to me, follow me, whatever you need to do on YouTube. I don't know what it's called. And check out my unboxing video if you want to see what I'm talking about. I had fairly big hands, and so one of the things I was looking at was the Joy-Con. So I'm actually going to start with the Joy-Cons here. I'm going to hold it while I'm going through. And so, again, podcasts are a little bit tough. Check out the unboxing video if you want to see it. I might be doing some more hands-on videos. I know I'm going to do stuff with the Raspberry Pi. I've talked about it before. Just for Richie Leahey. And same thing, I've moved from Socially Numb on YouTube to Richie Leahey, again, just consolidating everything. I made the consolidation. You should be able to find my stuff. I've actually had a lot more views since I did it. So I'm very glad it seems to be working out and people are happy with it. I'm still setting up my page though, so there might be some crazy stuff with that. All right, so here, I got the Joy-Con out. I'll actually disconnect these quick. So whenever these come, they come in two parts. Hopefully you don't pick up on a lot of random background noise from me holding it. The actual Joy-Con dock itself, again, Nintendo just threw in one that does not charge the Joy-Cons. That's kind of a problem with me. Whenever I'm buying a new piece of tech, I expect it to kind of come with whatever you need to run it. And sure, do I need one that charges it? To be honest, no, not really. And that's why I wouldn't be mad if it just came with this, because my idea to use it, most of the time I'm going to use it like a PSP. The Joy-Cons are going to be connected to the sides of the screen. I do like using the Joy-Con controller with this dock here as a separate Bluetooth controller. It worked well for me. I did have connectivity issues with the left joystick before I did the system upgrade. And I'll talk about some other issues I had that other people might have had or are still having that hopefully Nintendo fixes with some more upgrades. But anyway, here I have the Joy-Con holder. It says Nintendo. Pretty small. I think the reason it's small is because if I'm holding it up to my PlayStation 3 controller, I think the hand grips are a little bit thinner. They're not as thick as the PlayStation 3s. And for the PlayStation 4, which is even bigger than the PlayStation 3, yeah, they're definitely way shorter, and they're definitely thinner than the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 controllers are for dudes with bigger hands. So it works out great for me. If you're a kid or an adult that's not over 6 foot tall, maybe the Joy-Cons are good for you. Perfect. But for me, it's a little bit small, but I actually like small controllers. I don't think you need big hunking pieces of plastic because, number one, they're lighter, so I can hold it for a longer period of time. And I like it to feel like I'm in control, like I could break it at any time. I don't know, it just makes I can reach the buttons faster. They're closer together, a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more precision-based. And I'm a speed guy. So I like reaction games, anything like that. That's how I play. So that's it. There's a metal rail. I'm still digging in to see how these connect. Now, it looks like the connectors are kind of at the top. I'm not sure what the spring release button does, how it pushes out. But my concern with this is that when I'm playing like a PSP, if I'm holding it straight up and down, that after a while these will wear out and my screen is just going to fall out the bottom because of how these connect. And that's a fear that could be real. I mean, nobody's played long enough for that to happen. But in a few months, if that starts to happening, I really hope, Nintendo probably can't even do anything. What are they going to say? Failure. It's a failure. No one will make games for it. They'll try to hurry up and do a Switch 2. Maybe they'll go ahead and recall consoles, but could you imagine the windfall of that? The other thing they could do is if they had a slide on the bottom. And I thought about this, and I thought they might actually do this. So the other savior, if that does start to happen, is whenever these click in, there's like a metal clip that you slide over at the bottom of the Joy-Con that really secures the screen at the bottom. That's pretty much the only thing they could do without a total recall. They just send people, well, the Joy-Cons are expensive as hell too. So I don't know what they would do. But they're supposed to have HD rumble or whatever. Again, you can't really feel the rumble. And that's pretty much just going to eat up battery. So do I care if they would have got rid of it and had longer battery? I would have preferred the longer battery life. Now the Joy-Cons themselves, looking at the dock here. The dock has the metal rails and it has 4 lights that tells you what player you are. I'm not sure how you're supposed to check the battery life. I didn't really read the manual or anything. I just dove right into Zelda once I fired it up. And so the Joy-Cons here. Now the Joy-Cons have different buttons. And I let my daughter play with them. She's like 1.5. So I can give you some feedback. The Joy-Cons themselves came with portable straps. And we'll look at the straps here before I actually dig into the Joy-Cons. These straps have 2 buttons, and they're mechanical. You can hear them. So the mechanical strap button pushes another button on the Joy-Cons themselves. Again, a metal rail, and they have the light connectors which shine through and tell you what player you are. Maybe they change colors for batteries. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. I did hear people complain about the strap. They said that it would break if you put it on wrong. Well, because there's like a little lock here, which, yeah, it does look like it's hard as hell to get the lock off if you did put it on wrong. But someone had attached the straps when I got mine. Now, I will say with these, it looks like you can use the strap with both controllers. There is a negative side and a positive side. And you slide these in. And you can see, there we go. Very easy to slide in. They were hard to get on at first. Now they're back a little bit. And I think that might just be me breaking in or even getting used to how to use them. So I go ahead and I slide them on. And they seem to click in pretty well. Like I said, if I was worried about just like having it slide off, I mean, maybe that's an issue. And that's where I'd be worried about the strap. But maybe I'm not clicking in all the way. I'm not really sure. But that's what I'm worried about it sliding in and out. Is if the straps can slide off, then the screen can slide off the Nintendo. But here we go. It clicks in. To get them off, you have to hold a button on the back. Now, it's very tough to get them out if you have them clicked in all the way because the way the buttons are. Now, there's an R button on the top of these and like an RZ or whatever they call them. So you have to kind of hold it, press the button that's very thin at the top, and then pop it off. So they are tough to get off just because of where the release button is. It's like up underneath. And whenever you do it, there's no place on top of the Joy-Con because of the way they slide down, or the controller slides up into it. There's not really any place that you can go ahead and hold it without actually pressing a button. So if you're playing a game, you could like be changing screens or whatever they have you do. So it's better to do it outside of the game, I guess. So we've looked at those. Like I said, I had my daughter play. One of them clicks in. They seem like they could snap out of there if I'm really pulling on them. And I don't know if that's different than the actual Switch itself. But they're metal sliders. They slide in and out. 2 mechanical buttons. They do make the Joy-Cons wider. And the Joy-Cons are not as wide as I thought they were going to be. They're actually pretty thin, which is great because that means that they're not actually adding on size to the Nintendo Switch if I'm throwing it in a bag and carrying it with me. So that's perfect for me. Great that they go ahead and do that. Now, the docking station. We'll go ahead and look at that next. Go ahead and slide these in. I want to see if this slides out. Actually, no, it doesn't really slide out. So I'll say that the Nintendo Switch has the Joy-Cons click better into the Switch itself than it does to the straps. They can actually slide out of the straps. And so here we go, the dock. And the HDMI cable that came with it. The HDMI cable is short. You'll probably want to get a new one. I think I said I thought it might be between 3 and 6 feet. It's probably 3 max. If that. It might even be shorter, just based off first look. So it's a pretty small HDMI one. I wasn't sure just pulling it out of the box. I didn't do any research on it. So here we go. I have the Switch case. And it's pretty basic. Actually a piece of plastic. It has a cord holder, which goes ahead and has an HDMI port. It has the power port. It actually has an inbound USB port on the inside. In the back, the part that actually snaps up and has the cord holder. Now on the other side, opposite of that, there are 2 more USB ports. So I wasn't really sure what the third one would be for. I'm assuming the other 2 are mainly for charging controllers. So there you go. Maybe inside you have another one. I'm not really sure, like I said, what that would be used for at all. Maybe charging again. Maybe connection to some other device. Maybe a camera or something. I don't know what they would want at the house. I don't think they're going to have any inbound or like in-console communication devices, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So that's it. Pretty straightforward for the case. You plug it in, you get what you get. The power cord, that's pretty much it. The cable's a little bit weird, but it fits. There's the plug. It fits down on my surge protector beside other plugs, so I don't have to have one of those wider slots for it. So that's actually perfect for me. It actually fits beside the computer cable. It's that thin. If you know what I'm talking about like on a power strip. You know how like they're close together, and if you have like a big DC power brick, it sometimes overhangs and you can't use the next 2. But this one's thin enough that it does let me use it, so it fits right in to my power surge without having to worry about anything. So I keep that plugged in, keep that on the television. And so here, we'll start with the Joy-Cons connected. Again, I just had them out, and they do kind of slip in and out on the Joy-Con holders, which makes me nervous because I did have my daughter test the Joy-Con straps out. I had her hang it around her neck like a necklace, and then she held the controller in front of her, which worked perfect because when she tried to throw it, it wouldn't go anywhere. She was wearing it like a necklace. And it was long enough that worked. The picture that I have of it is really cute. But that's what she had, and she was able to play. Now, I do like that the Joy-Cons have 2 different buttons. She just presses buttons. And I know she's a kid, so I don't expect people to use it. But one of the controllers has a home button, which exits the game. The other Joy-Con does not. So if we're playing a game like Snipper Clips, it worked well because I gave her the one that took pictures. Now, my Switch is probably full of pictures that she just randomly took pressing buttons. But she's able to like see that if she moves the joystick, she can move guys back and forth and knows that it moves on the TV. So she'll watch and play with that. The rest of the buttons she's just hitting because she likes to press buttons. So it's good that one of them has a home button and the other one has a screenshot button. But if you're playing 2 players, I don't know how you decide. I could see everyone liking maybe the plus one better. It's kind of tough because the plus one, the joystick's more in the middle, gives you more control. It just does. So if I snap it out, It gives me more control over it. And that's if I'm playing with them separate. The other one, the Joy-Con, the analog sticks on the side, it can get slippy. I could see it slipping out of your hand. You're getting mad in the middle of a game. The buttons are in the middle, so you kind of have to reach, and your finger's going to fatigue a little bit better. So I can see everyone leaning towards a plus. The only downside is the home button's right there. So if your finger slips off the analog stick, you're going to press the home button. And the other one, the camera button's up beside like the 4 buttons, but I don't know. I haven't played enough with them to kind of see. But those are what I see on the buttons. We'll get back to the Joy-Cons. I'll do a little bit more. So now I have them docked, and we'll look at the actual Switch itself. So inside, very, very basic. It's a row of boxes, and I haven't really tweaked this too, so maybe you can update it. The top left corner is my profile. I have Yoshi up there now. It's my profile. Has my name, and it has, I can go ahead and switch that. Let's go ahead and look. I'll capitalize my name a bit, make it look a little bit better. But I just have my name set up as R. Leahey. So I'll capitalize R. Leahey in the top. And let's see if that's pretty seamless. It is. That's it. It says I'm offline. I'm not selected in game. So even if I'm connected to the internet, it says I'm offline unless I'm in game. And I have a friend code, which I thought Nintendo was doing away with those. So that's okay. But that's my thing. My avatars. My Mii did not carry over, which I had from the 3DS. So I took one on the 3DS and thought. Now, some of them, if I try to click the Mii, it has me recreate one. I did hear that if you have an amiibo, I guess I can touch the amiibo to the 3DS, transfer my Mii to one of their characters, touch it to the Switch, and then it will transfer over. So if I ever get one of those, I'll try those out, but I'll see. I'm not really too worried about that at this point. Friends list, I have 0 friends on here. Once again, not really worried about that. Friends requests, search for local players, suggested friends. Linking with, so if I have suggested friends, it says linking your apps with Miimoto or Super Mario Run will display friends here who use those apps. So right now, I do have it connected to Super Mario Run. I had my daughter test that game out, which she liked a lot. It actually almost wanted me to get the full version, but I don't know if I'm ever going to do that or not. Sent friend request, I can send friend requests. You have to search with friend codes again. Search for local users, which has me look nearby. And then whatever they have, we both have the same. It's a card symbol, so club, spade, heart, and diamond. Click it, and it will have you go ahead and connect. So that's a pretty cool idea. Again, haven't played with anyone yet, haven't seen anything like this. I also have user settings here. I have a nickname, my edit icon, my friend settings, which lets me go ahead, delete play activity, issue friend codes, receive friend codes. Shows all my friends everything, display play activity to all users if they're looking for me. Manage blocked user list. Posting to social media. I think it's just Facebook and Twitter, to be honest. And that's why everyone keeps talking about how Instagram is going to be the next thing. Until Instagram starts getting these plugs, it's not going to be. I mean, people want their own place, but it's never going to be mainstream enough to matter. I also have eShop settings, which takes me to the eShop. Probably going to ask for my password, which would be annoying. Yeah, it does. So we'll just back out of that. Not going to look at the eShop too much. And then it says download progress. Shows me if I'm downloading any games. And then here we go. It has my linked Nintendo account. And it gives me a number for customer support if I have specific questions to my console. So that's pretty much it. Pretty bare bones. In the top right, I have the time with the battery amount, which I enabled, I believe, and my Wi-Fi. I can't really even touch anything over there. It is touch screen. In the bottom left, it shows you how you have your console set up. And this is handy because there's a menu item for it. Because whenever you detach the Joy-Cons from the screen, you need to update the layout. They need to know how you're using it. Are you using one Joy-Con sideways? or are using two together, like in their docking station, they really don't know when you're doing that. All right, so using it, I've tried to pull these out just to see, which was kind of scary because I thought it might click out and then strip my thing, and then my screen, my fear of dropping my screen would scare the shit out of me the rest of the time I'm playing with this. But no, they did not. They click in here way better than they do to the Joy-Con strip. So to actually pull this out, you do have to push the button and slide it out. Now it is easier than the Joy-Con strap to get out whenever you're holding them when you dock it. So I'm going to go ahead and dock it here and kind of talk about it. So the Nintendo Switch, the thin side on the docking station has the logo, and I have that facing towards me, and that's how I'm going to put the screen. And the screen goes right behind the logo. So I slide it in. There's a little green button that lights up in the bottom left. Now I have my television up ready to go on the HDMI port I want. It says no connection. It takes a couple seconds, and then it goes ahead and it automatically switches me. So now I do say it isn't as seamless pulling these out, what I have to do when I pull my controllers out, which is a good thing. Again, I was afraid of the screen slipping out of the Joy-Cons. I put a finger on top of the Switch itself inside the dock, press the button, slide it out. Do the same on the other side, slide it out. Now, because I disconnected them, it already automatically pairs them as two separate Joy-Cons in the bottom left. And I can go ahead and slide it into my Joy-Con dock. Again, whenever you do this, you're sliding them in. You're almost always going to touch that top button to make sure they snap in. Now again, the controller here is much sturdier than the strap. I can't slide the Joy-Cons out of the docking controller. I do notice on the right side, that must be the Amiibo thing. I never noticed this before, but the bottom right Joy-Con, the plus one, has like an IR reader or something. Might be the other thing. So now here I go. I'm going to kind of go through. Let me kind of readjust here. All right, just slid down away from my television. Sliding my mic over here. So I have a little bit, I'm not crushing my neck. Because now I have it docked to kind of go through the menus. And this will kind of be the last thing. I might touch the games a little bit. So here we go. Now again, that's it. That's it for the screen. There's really only 2 rows of buttons besides your profile page. In the top left, so mine says R. Leahey's page. And that's pretty much, again, I went through these a little bit ago. That's just my settings. And it's kind of like my profile page, which I don't know if other people could see these or not. I think you might have to search by friend codes. Like, you just can't. It lets you search by users you've played with or local users. But again, to my knowledge, there's not any games you play online anyway. It said they give you free online, but no games are compatible, so it doesn't matter. So in the middle of the screen is just a row of boxes. Those are where your games load up. I don't know if there's a limit to how many games you can have, but right now there's like a bunch of boxes. Most of them are empty. The first left one is my demo of Snipper Clips, which I downloaded to try out. And then the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is the game card that I put in. You can see it's about the size of a quarter. I snapped it in. I might take it out and like look at the things. The kickstand for the Switch, pretty flimsy, pretty generic. I was afraid that I was going to break it when I actually used it. It pops out as very plasticky and not really stable at all. Very disappointed. I think if Nintendo wanted to, they probably should have went with 2 of them because of how flimsy they are, 1 on each side. I mean, for the time being, I wouldn't buy an extra stand for it if I was going to play at a friend's house. Because like I said earlier in this podcast, one of the ideas behind getting it, the Switch, is that you can set it up and maybe play a game of football without taking up a television at a family's house. Go out there, set up on the kitchen table, pull out your other Joy-Con controller, and sit there and play a game of Madden or something else, or like FIFA. I know FIFA's coming to it. Not sure if Madden is going to. But if FIFA does, I'll probably get it just for that reason. You could play a 2-player game. I would prefer that they have some arcade sport games. Bring back NBA Jam. That would be awesome. So hopefully someone thinks of that. Redoes NBA Jam. They did it for the PlayStation 3. Redo it for the Switch. people would buy that up instead of buying like NBA 2K or whatever. Please bring that. I'll have to tweet that out. But that's what we're looking at game-wise. Every game is in the middle. Again, I don't know if there's like a media component, if I can add music or anything. I haven't tried. All right, then directly under those, you have some circles. These are basically the system menus. The first one is news. And if you really wanted to look at the news, it tells you kind of like here, where do I put them? It's basically like a walkthrough. Where do I put the micro SD card? This one's all about charging. Blah, blah, blah. Here, the battery's running out. How do I charge the console? You can get an AC adapter, which I'm pretty sure is just going to be a USB-C, which I'm going to try to check and use with my battery pack that I talked about in the Raspberry Pi videos. And the console's battery life is shown in the home menu, and you can hit by pressing the controller's home menu. By selecting controllers on the home menu. So it does show you the controller's charging. If you look at it on the home menu, it says, here's some other ones. Basically, like, here's some games that are going to come. Splatoon 2, here's a video. I'll go ahead and just press this out. I don't have sound on, so you won't be able to hear it. I just want to see how long it takes to load, and it's still loading now. There we go. And this is basically just an ad for the game, it looks like. And it's, yeah, it says game and system sold separately. I think I've seen this video before based on the intro. And it shows people playing paintball for Splatoon. Some type of paintball. Is like a spray paint game if you haven't seen it before, or you're trying to paint the arena. So there you go. You can go ahead and watch videos. Basically, it's kind of like Nintendo's own like little news thing. There's like an update here, new system available, system update. RPG fans, here you go. Xenoblade Chronicles. Here's how you can get fast and easy shopping. Like I said, I had to combine. So I had to search online for how to combine your 3DS account with the Switch account. And it lets you move your funds over so they're all in one account. So make sure you do that if you have funds on the 3DS. I think I mentioned earlier, but I never finished it. The eShop is next. And it asks who I'm using, which is me, Leahey. I think the problem with these switches are, though, if you're an adult, like if you're the household, if you buy a game, I think they want you to buy it over and over. And that's what scares me. I mean, this can always be adjusted. And maybe if more people are complaining, they will. Like PlayStation, I can have multiple 3 or 4 consoles that all have my games installed. Right now, Nintendo, I think, only lets you use one. So whenever I go ahead and buy a Switch game, if I would buy, like let's say down the road, if I would buy my daughter a game, she could only install it on her console. It would be tied to her Unity or her account number, her username, blah. But I can go ahead and buy it on mine, but then she can only play on our Switch. So basically they're just making you want to only own one Switch. You can't share games. So then here's the rest of the games. Shovel Knight, Treasure Trove. I think I already have this game owned. I don't know if, I doubt they'll let you probably have to get it again if you wanted to play it. But it tells you how many people can play, what type of controllers in the store here. So here's another one. This one's Shovel Knight again, which I'll have to see if I can download. But you can go ahead and get it. And it says what you're doing, how many languages it supports, supported play modes, TV, Joy-Con, and the combined station. So there's basically 3 play modes. Some games don't support all of them. So the TV one is when it's plugged in. If you buy a game that only supports TV, you only can play it on TV. Then there's the docked ones with the Joy-Con separately. That's what you would do if you had it in a controller. I think most of the ones support that. And then there's the one where the Joy-Cons are attached to the screen itself. And I'm pretty sure that only works. That would be required only if you're using the touch screen. The other one, if you put them in a controller and have it set up somewhere, I don't think you'd be able to use the touch screen. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But this one says that you could use all of them. Just looking at one of the Shovel Knights here. It's one player, and it says you can support a controller, so you can use the Pro controller. Some of them do not let you use the Pro controller. So like, let's look at another one. 1-2 switch. Let's see what it says. No Pro Controller. And you can't use it docked. So there we go. There's an example of one you can't use. You can play it on TV, or you can play it with the screen propped up using the kickstand, but you cannot play it with the Joy-Cons attached to the screen. They cannot be plugged in, docked together. I guess it's not really docked because there is a dock. Nah, that's probably confusing people. So look at it yourself. Tells you when it's released. Here's one, Bomberman. Bomberman, way too expensive. I do like Bomberman back in the day. 8 players. You can play together. It's pretty sweet. 3 different ones. Proceed to purchase. I haven't really checked it out. LR. They have a video of how you play Bomberman. That's a game that I remember playing on the 64. So hopefully that game goes on sale, or they give you some discount. I don't know, because I'd pick that up if it was on sale. Let's see what else. That's pretty much it that I would buy besides Snipper Clips. Snipper Clips. There's some other weird like RPG type games that, like I am Setsuna, which is a Square Enix game. That everything's supported for that, and the Pro Controller. It's an RPG game. $40. Snipper Clips. It does not use the Pro Controller, but you can use the Joy-Cons. Play it docked, play it connected as a handheld. And pretty fun game. That's a good multiplayer game. I'm surprised they had a demo. I don't know how. I think that might be the only game that has a demo. Let me look through real quick. There's not too many games at launch. Again, you pretty much, if you buy it at launch, you're buying it just to play Zelda. I'm being serious there. Maybe if you wanted to play 1-2 Switch, but I wouldn't buy 1-2 Switch at launch. The only other game that I would get, like I said, would be Super Bomberman, and it would be a download. And I would prefer if they had a demo of it just to play it to see what it was like. But pick that up, maybe. And then that's it. Coming soon. They have 3 games coming soon. Super Mario Kart Deluxe, let's see. It says up to 12 players online. Local wireless, which is what I was hoping for. They have 2 to 8 players. So that's pretty cool. It supports the Pro. It supports all 3 play modes. English, Spanish, and French. So that's pretty sweet, but it's not available yet. That would be another game that I would probably end up getting. Maybe, like I said, Splatoon, and then that would pretty much be it. I'd have enough games to play with me, and if they let you do media, if they do like other old school games, here's Blaster Master Zero, which is like an old school NES game, it looks like. It's a top-down old school one, $9. Don't know. I don't know if there's achievements or trophies. I haven't seen this anywhere. I'm surprised they haven't added it in. They have a profile page for you. But I haven't dug too into that to see that. The next menu, going back out to the main screen, is my album. Here I can see all type of screenshots that my daughter took. And they're all on my micro SD card, so they all save there. And they're all from the Snipper Clips demo version, of course. And I don't know, let's try to just take one. Alright, so I can't take a picture of the gallery. But that's pretty much all it is. I don't know if you can do videos. Back, editing and posting. They want you to post these to social media, which maybe I'll start to try to do, since I haven't been doing. Like I said, I don't know if I'll be doing streaming anymore. But we'll see what happens. Going back out. That's pretty much it for the album. The controllers menu shows you the charge. Batteries, they don't have a percentage. It says you can pair new controllers and change grip order. What that means is it shows you how you're doing it. So basically, you hold the L and R button, press the A button, and it will tell you, are you using them side by side? Do you have a Pro Controller, or are you using the Joy-Cons by themselves, sideways, like you'd be playing like an old Nintendo? And then the system settings. Well, and like again, I'm just running through these, not to be boring, but just in case anyone was interested in the system at launch, didn't buy it. We'll start at the very bottom and kind of work my way back up. You can have formatting, different serial information, blah, 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 all the random things. Mute when headphones are disconnected. Some cool features there. Language and region, date and time. They go ahead, synchronize via the internet. You can go ahead and turn that on. And that says it periodically checks the time via the internet to make sure that you're correct. You don't drop what you recommend. There's a system update under the system. TV settings. It asks you can adjust screen size, burn reduction, everything. Now here's one that I'm not sure. I noticed it was doing this burn-in reduction whenever I was setting up the switch on my television. I was going through and like doing things. It would automatically kind of go black for a second and refresh the screen. It kind of stopped doing that, but it only did it after the update. I think the console did update again, so maybe it had something to do with like the update, but I'm not really sure. There's a controller sensors. If you click the let's see. I actually don't even know what the two buttons are on top, but you can go ahead and change the grip order, controller vibration. You can turn it on, off, test input devices, disconnect, calibrate motion controls, calibrate sticks, everything basically you thought you could do. Sleep mode, it asks you if you can go ahead. Now it does have this, suspend auto sleep and play media content. Other people have went ahead and kind of started to guess what that means, but I'm hoping that that means that they're going to add like at least Netflix, or at least let you do videos, something. Please let this be a all-in-one media box for parents so they can set up for kids or even for adults. Let me download some movies I can play in the car if I'm on a long trip with someone, or if I'm commuting to work. Let me throw in some headphones while I'm sitting on a bus or whatever and listen to whatever I want to do, play some games. I mean, you can't play games all the time. There are sometimes you just want to kind of unwind and just listen, watch something funny, and have a good laugh. Download complete notifications on, friend notifications, you can turn those on. Themes, 2 themes, basic white, basic black. I think I haven't actually text that. Basic black is probably better. Someone had to switch to that. I never even thought of that. Probably better for the eyes. There is one for, I'm going up, screen brightness and stuff up above, but here's Amiibo. You can edit, save the data to the Amiibo, like register owner, nickname, which I don't have any of those, so I don't know. Haven't tested them. Mii's, again, I already have one on the 3DS that I created, so I'd like to just move it over, but I guess I need an Amiibo for that. Don't know if I'll ever get one. Maybe there'll be one with the game. I thought they were going to have Zelda with one, which I would have gotten if they had the deluxe with that, but they didn't. It was just a CD. I actually had someone rip me a CD as like a gift from when the other Zelda came out, Skyward Sword, because I didn't get the deluxe version. This is one, skip selection screen. This, I have it off right now, but it lets you pick like who's playing who and whatever, and asks about the Joy-Con setup. Data management, right now it looks like everything's been downloading to the micro SD card first. Great, I have 182 gigabytes left. All I did was download those 2 games. So that's pretty much it right now. Manage save data, screenshots. Again, I can delete manage screenshots. Blah, blah, blah. I have it saved to the micro SD card by default. System memory, manage individual images. If I wanted to go ahead and delete them, but you can do that from the box itself. The other one, manage software. It tells you 266 megabytes, 216 megabytes. So I don't know what else is saved where, but why that's up there. Internet connection. Goes ahead and connects, gives you the system MAC address, which I use a MAC filter as everyone should. So I had to get that. Internet connection, blah, blah, blah. I thought they said something about having an Ethernet port, but I don't know. I didn't look too much into that. So I think that might be an option too, but don't quote me on that because I didn't see a port on my box itself, just a USB. Maybe there's like a USB to Ethernet cable they're selling. I just didn't see it anywhere. Parental controls, you can go ahead and configure these. I don't know if It says like you can use your smart device to restrict features, set play times, and activity notifications. Use this console, restrict features. Now, when I did this on the 3DS, it was very obtrusive and way too needy of information. I basically just wanted them to set up a lock screen password in case I lost it somewhere because my information's on there, but realistically, I don't know if you need that for a video game console. Maybe if you start talking to friends, but I didn't even go through that process for this yet. Screen lock in sleep mode. What that means is you have to press any button 3 times so that they know you're trying to log in, which is pretty handy. Like I said, if I'm snapping in a Joy-Con, I automatically press the R button. As long as you keep holding it down, it won't log you in. Next, screen brightness. That's only if you're portable. Turn it down. It does not let me do that on the TV, it says. Airplane mode, again, can't do it when it's connected to the TV. And of course, their first option, which should have been the last one, was the health and safety precautions. That now they do have an error history, which I thought is pretty cool. And of course, the safety ones don't even let me use my theme, which is blinding. And very last thing, here on the game console is a sleep mode. Sleep mode, if I'm on the TV, it only lets me do sleep mode. I think if it's undocked, it lets you turn the console off. I know if you try to take the micro SD card out of the back while it's on, it will go ahead and delete it. Or it will turn it off itself. It'll say you cannot unplug it while the console's on, turning off console, and it automatically turns it off so that no data is destroyed. But I went ahead, plugged it in, again, I named my card Switch so that I knew in case I took it out, and then went ahead and played it in. And it still works. Now, Zelda, if I start new, it has like a downloadable content, which goes ahead and tries to get me to download a kit for the DLC. There's also an amiibo. And it says you can now use the amiibo rune with the Sheikah Slate. You can change the setting anytime on the option screen. Do not use amiibo, which right now we'll turn that back off, so I don't have one. There's options, regular ones, message, camera. The only thing I did was I made the map always point to north. And I did that because it's kind of annoying if you don't do that. To me, I don't even know what the old Zeldas used to do, but just having a map, I would be completely lost. So I like to try to memorize the map, much like you would a land, or memorize the game like you would a map, so I know where north is. So I make sure that that's set, and I'm glad that that was an option, because some of the things that they did was annoying to me. Now it does auto save like The Witcher. It saves wherever you are. It auto saves throughout the game as you're walking around. So here we are, and I already played through the first part. I'm trying to run around. Now he has a stamina bar. I'm playing Zelda now. I fired it up just to kind of give you a break through the game. I'm playing at night. Some survival features. It's kind of like an RPG now these days. Any RPG. There's regions set up, and I can sprint. Sprint will wear your guy out, and then of course he starts to breathe heavy. I think that used to be in the other Zelda games anyway. There's temperature, which you could freeze to death in this game, or I guess burn up and die of heat exhaustion. And there's a sound one where you can sneak up on enemies, which is pretty cool. So pretty much like any other action RPG, like survival type game. There's weather. There is time of day. And there are all kind of other cool features of this game. And maybe I'll do like a walkthrough, a playthrough a little bit, do some podcasts like this as I play the game. Like I said, this is something I would do when streaming, but Nintendo makes that completely difficult. So that won't be happening. Because I've seen some bad things in regards to their content claims or whatever, and I'm not going to worry about it. If they don't want people to do that, then that's their right. So I'm just kind of playing through Zelda. Again, is my favorite video game series of all time that you play. I mean, Dynasty Warriors 2, but Dynasty Warriors is a different beast because you're playing at a point where it is a multiplayer game, but you're playing like 2 players or whatever. And that's why Dynasty Warriors, it's more like an action, just time killer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's like wild horses in this game, all kind of other crazy stuff. I understand why they did the graphics how they are, and people think they're beautiful, cell shaded stuff. But I guess I could take a screenshot and try to test it this social media. I haven't done that yet. But it looks like, do I have to climb this huge cliff? I don't know. We'll see where I'm going. I don't know where the maps are, but I am really enjoying this game. And a lot of games these days, you have to kind of like, they're not really written out where you need to go. This one encourages exploring. Like, I actually want to explore. A lot of games I'm trying to like run through as fast as possible, even for like some of the podcast stuff I do. But that's pretty much what I like about the system. Some hands-on stuff. I'll probably be talking about some more, but I figured I would talk a little bit about it as I played. There's some things in the game that are pretty neat that you need to kind of just experience. Right now, the console itself is pretty bare bones, pretty much set up to just you jump right in and then you're playing. Again, I'm waiting for my case, so I won't be able to take it on the go until I get that. Just an extra level of protection for me. I don't want to have to worry about having something break or anything on me while I have the game. You can hunt and collect meat, and that's a cool feature to kind of get your health back. It reminds me of like Assassin's Creed type games. So that's neat. There's like some other features and stuff where like the guy was having you cook foods and trying to figure it out. Again, I'm playing this game, and my goal with this game is to not use any guides or help. I want to play through it like I would when I was a kid, back before the internet would tell you exactly what to do. And so it's pretty neat to do that. Once again, a lot of games these days, you don't have that luxury of doing because they don't set up that way. And so, yeah, it's pretty neat. I suggest you check it out if you're into, even if you're just into Zelda games, if you're not into Zelda games. Right now, you can probably wait on Switch if you're not, because there's others coming. I haven't tested some other games. I don't know if I'm going to pick them up. I have to look at my gift card points or whatever and see what I can get rigged up. But I'm not planning on just buying a ton of games. But I could see this being my only console. I mean, I have the PlayStations, but I like the fact that I can play a game anywhere. I don't have to worry about it. If it's a nice day and I want to be outside, I can go downtown, order some food at one of the shops, eat on the sidewalk, or right there, right on the side of the road, play my game, kind of like you're playing on a phone. Most people sit there and just like check Facebook or whatever. But now I'm actually to do whatever I want to do. And that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed this mega podcast as I went through my thoughts, as I went through the parts that come with the Switch. Again, I got the bare bones kit. The only extra I got did not arrive yet. I'll fill everyone in on that next week as long as I remember to touch base on that. But again, check out my videos. I'll probably be doing some more hands-on stuff, at least with the tech and different things that I find out with the console. Maybe doing like some more breakdowns of each piece that other people didn't do. Subscribe, follow, check out the Leahey Report. Again, I'm putting everything in one spot. Tell your friends. If you enjoy the content, leave me a review or whatever. I don't think I even got any of those, even though I'm having tons of listens. So take some time. That helps the podcast. It's something quick to do. Just give a 5-star review. But that's it for this week. Thanks for checking it out. And I'll see you next week.